What's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of COMMS. My name is Ryan, and that over there is Andy hosting with me. Just want to let you know before we get started, get going, check us out on all the places that you can find podcasts like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Anchor, you name it, we're probably on there. If you can, give us a follow, give us a rating, let us know. You can make fun of my sweaters that I wear. It doesn't matter. Have fun with it. Be honest. But as I said, this over here is Andy, and welcome to another edition, Andy.
Hey, how's it going? Yeah, I'm Andy, and our guest today is not really a reconnect, but a connection that I've made since COVID. This is Shawn Hopman. Runs Another City Records, all around rad dude. We met probably, it's been a year now, I guess. Yeah. It's been a year of texting back and forth. He put out the Ill Communication 12-inch. It turned out super awesome. We are, represent over here. We are very psyched on how it turned out, and Shawn worked really hard on that. Just all around great dude, and I'm glad that one of the positive things out of COVID was getting to meet Shawn. If you want to give us a little rundown of kind of what you've been doing the last 10, 15 years of hardcore, and then we'll kind of go from there, Shawn.
The last 10 or 15 years. Wow. I didn't do much other than go to shows for a big block of time. I went back to grad school. So it was, I moved from Philadelphia back to Chicago and was doing grad school, and met my wife. So I was doing most of that, just going to shows here and there. And I ran a label many moons ago, and I was like, you know what? I miss doing that. I miss connecting with bands. I miss, the creative outlet. I mean, I don't play an instrument, so it's like being able to help bands out was something I missed. It was more, I've never liked being passively into something. I've always wanted to be hands-on in it. So when I started going to shows, I was like, wow, I'm going to do a zine. So I did a zine, and then I did a label, and I'm like, now I wanted to do another label in a podcast. So it's this past year or so has been getting everything off the ground and getting the label off the ground and working on that and connecting with new bands and listening to a lot of new music. I feel like for a while, I kind of got stuck listening to stuff I had been listening to for years and years. Sure. And, honestly, the last couple years of hardcore has released so many good records that, otherwise I may have missed them if I didn't, start this label and trying to listen actively to new things. And then, more recently than that is my buddy Rich. We had a cup of coffee in Race Trader. Two of us discussed doing a podcast, and so we've been doing this podcast called Nothing Better to Do, and it's been fun. It's been fun. Yeah, we just pick either. We've done some of Rich's friends. We've done some of my friends. We've people that we know only through like Facebook hardcore groups and things. We'll be like, oh, hey, you want to do this podcast? And it's been a fun outlet. So it's it makes me feel a lot more part of things by doing this podcast and doing the label.
Yeah, your podcast is really good, man. I enjoy it. That episode with Fom was really good. The kid from Porcupine, I'd never heard of that band. I had to check them out after hearing that. So just from your podcast. So really cool. You guys, the way you guys talk is awesome. You and Rich have a good flow with the podcast, dude. So, and I know you do your is it just the Chicago Bears or all Chicago sports, right?
All Chicago sports. Yeah, I have a sports podcast that I do that I've been doing that. Jeez, we're on like episode like almost 400.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it's a week. So weekly, you go back. So it's been a while. I've been doing that every single week. So that's cool. And that that one has been fairly successful. The NFL recognizes me as media, so I have access to like this media portal. So like any of the transactions that happen, I get access before it goes public. I can register for things like the NFL draft or the Super Bowl if I wanted to. I don't always get granted, but I can apply. I have in this portal I'm allowed to apply, so it's kind of fun.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's really cool, man.
Yeah, I mean if I've been into sports for a long time, it's like, some people like they'll do things with their dad growing up, and my dad and I really the only way we connected was just talking about sports. So I've just been into sports because of that. It was like our one connection, and so it's kind of maintained even after he's passed away. My love of sports, so I just kind of kept up with it, and being able to talk about it, and it's kind of cathartic. Sometimes you're just like, oh man, the Bears are terrible. Let me just start recording an episode and angrily rant about it.
Yeah, I know how that is.
There's always going to be content, especially in Chicago. There's so much sports happening, so that's awesome, man. It's really cool. We'll have to get some tips and pointers on how to actually do podcasts. We're just having fun, so it's been nice.
You know what? It's a lot of failure and trial and lots of failure, and then you sort of see what works and what doesn't.
We're used to failure and disappointment.
Yeah, it's just we're from Tehachapi. That's how we roll.
Yeah. So before we get into the record, Shawn, anything going on with the label that you want to talk about, or is it all under wraps still? Or
no, I mean I talk about most things. Right now, so we've got the Ill Communication record out, and if you haven't heard that, I don't know what you're doing. It's awesome, and we're working on distribution in Europe and hopefully Japan and Australia.
Oh, heck yeah.
Because I feel bad if you try to anybody that's ever bought a record from overseas, you realize how stupid expensive shipping is. So. Yeah. It makes our life easier, makes your life easier. So that should be happening soon, hopefully. We've got a 7-inch at the pressing plant right now for a band from Michigan called Prison Suicide. They're a real rad band. I can't wait for everybody to hear that. There's a band from Indiana that we'll be doing called Disappear. That album is all recorded and done. We're just waiting on the artwork. The artwork is going to be, I saw the guy who does it. He's this like metal dude in Europe, and he paints it with oil paints. Yeah. So it's like an oil painting for the artwork. So it's going to be sick. So he posts all these pictures of himself. Like he's like a muscle metal dude. And he's like posts pictures of himself with like the metal records and the painting he did for it. So excited about that. And then the first band we actually signed, Snuffed, they kind of everything got delayed because of COVID, so they're finally back practicing, and they've got studio time for July, so then that'll come out after that. So there's some good stuff coming out I'm really excited about.
Yeah, all three of those bands are good, man. They're all either on, if not on Spotify, they're all on Bandcamp for sure. I've checked all three of them out after talking to you and talking to the Lo-Fi Horror Show guy in Prison Suicide. So all those bands got music out for people to check out, and they should, because
yeah, absolutely. And
good stuff for sure. I'll dig it.
In Prison Suicide, they just did a split tape with Porcupine on Numerality.
Oh wow, I didn't know that. That's cool.
Yeah, so that's kind of how they got on my radar.
Yeah, I'll be on the lookout for that. All right, well, so we do 2 records, and Shawn picked the first one, so we're going to jump into that. If you want to go ahead and let it rip.
This episode is sponsored by Another City Records. Pre-order Ill Communication's new record now at anothercityrecords.com. This 12-inch features Ill Communications remastered EPs, Ode to the Old Gods, and Death Threats and Hieroglyphics, available now in 3 colors with either laser printed or silkscreen B-side. What's that you say? You don't collect vinyl? Well, they also have cassettes, hats, and shirts. Order now from AnotherCityRecords.com.
You want me to talk about it?
Yes.
All right.
Yeah. Let us know. Sorry, I thought everything froze. I was like, "What is going on?"
No. So, you can't tell.
Oh yeah,
I'm a big Naked Raygun fan. I'm from Chicago, so
yeah.
so I picked a Naked Raygun record, and it's I don't know if everybody's heard Naked Raygun, but it's the album Jettison. It's in a bunch of great records they put out. It's probably my favorite, and honestly, it starts off with a banger.
Yeah.
It's probably starts off with one of my favorite tracks of all time. And I know a lot of people be like, well, it's not really hardcore. It doesn't sound like Agnostic Front or Madball or whatever, but it's, there's the definite, like, the influences, the whoa, whoa, whoa is in there that, you associate with like the Misfits.
That's what I thought.
Naked Raygun is, right up there as a great whoa, whoa, whoa band. And they have a Stiff Little Fingers cover on the record, a Suspect Device, which is great. It's one of my favorite albums, and it never goes out of rotation.
Yeah, I only got to listen to it on Spotify. I don't have the vinyl. And I had heard Naked Raygun before. I think Treason was the song that I was most familiar with, but this record was rad. That first song, Soldier's Requiem, was really cool. All the songs were cool, man. I really thought the sequencing was cool, the way they speed it up, slow it down. They got some catchy songs, some slow kind of driving songs. I thought it was a great record, man. And I kind of kicked myself for not visiting it more in the past years, Yeah,
on vinyl it's better. On Spotify they end it with like live tracks, which kind of throw it off a bit. I'm not into those live tracks, but on vinyl, it depends on which version you have, but it pretty much ends with Suspect Device by Stiff Little Fingers, and just like start to finish, it starts with a banger, ends with a banger.
Yep. Yeah. That would be listening to it, that would have been a better finish than the live stuff for sure. The live stuff lost me at the end. It's kind of like, oh man, but it was cool. Ryan?
Yeah, this is a cool record. I can't remember how Naked Raygun originally got on my radar, but I don't think I ever really listened to anything outside of Throb Throb, that first record, and because I had always loved the song Rat Patrol.
Oh yeah.
But there's definitely a reason that Soldier's Requiem is their most played song by like a long shot. That song is so good. It's really good. And this record, I actually think I do like it more than Throb Throb, just because it's so much more like catchier and rockin'. Like I feel like this was where they came into like what they were as a band, or like what they were going for the whole time. It was a really enjoyable record, I think, and I'm glad you picked it, because I probably wouldn't have listened to it otherwise.
Yeah, it's cool. They got a new album coming out this year, all new stuff, and when you have a band that last released a full-length record a long time ago and had their heyday a long time ago, when they come back, you just get worried. You're like, oh, is this going to be garbage material? Is this going to be?
Yeah.
And they released one track, and I was like, all right. They did a live session where they released a music video.
I did see that. That was cool.
And I was like, all right, I'm going to cautiously optimistic. And I watched, and I was like, oh man, I'm into this song. I'm into this track. So it's got me optimistic about how the whole record's going to sound. So that's cool.
Yeah, I did watch that video too. That was cool. That song was good. I like that.
That where they filmed that's actually a club that has a lot of hardcore shows.
Oh, nice. It looked awesome.
Yeah.
What club was it at?
Cobra Lounge.
Oh yeah, Cobra Lounge.
So you see them walking into the front door of the Cobra Lounge, and then they go upstairs and they do it on the roof of the building.
That's awesome.
So yeah, I've seen like a ton of hardcore bands there, from the Killer to the Hoods to just a ton of bands at that place. So it's neat.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I kind of thought that, I mean, listening to the CD, I'm not super familiar with them, but I definitely think when I listen to it, man, you could hear a lot how there's bands that are like heavily influenced by Naked Raygun, or like straight up are like, yo, I want our band to sound like Soldier's Requiem, or one of the what was the other one I liked, that Colbinger. I can't read my writing, but a couple songs there, I'm like listening and I'm like, there's bands that sound like this song, like their whole record sounds like this one song. So they obviously are super into the stuff that Naked Raygun's doing, and they influenced a ton of bands. So
you were searching for Coldbringer.
Coldbringer. Yeah. All right.
Yeah, it's neat to see how Chicago music was. When you look at the early bands of like the hardcore scene, you see how the bands that kind of followed were influenced by what was before them. So Chicago had Naked Raygun, so things always had a more like a punk rock sound to it rather than a more metal sound, like maybe some stuff from the East Coast, or like faster, thrashier stuff from the West Coast. So it's they definitely put their mark on Chicago bands going after them.
Yeah, it's definitely cool. Well, we obviously, like one of the notes I wrote is, if you like punk rock or even like Social D, you'll love Naked Raygun. So if you're into any of those bands, anyone watching this, check out Naked Raygun. And I think, like if you like Kid Dynamite, Hot Water Music, any of those, I think you'd be into this too. So I don't know if they consider themselves hardcore punk or just whatever, but definitely I think anybody that likes fast music will like them. So.
Yeah, I would agree.
All right, so we're gonna rate the record. I think I sent you the little the rating scheme, so we'll let you go first.
For this one, for me, I've been listening to this record since I got into this kind of music, so it's hard for me to give it anything but an Illmatic.
Nice, heck yeah, you got to back Chicago. That represent. I like it. That's what it's about.
Heck yeah.
Definitely, yeah, man. You could definitely tell that that this is your hometown band, and that's cool. I dig it. Ryan?
Yeah, so for me, like I said, I really liked Throb Throb. How I randomly found that, who knows? But I remember loving it, and this I actually like more. And so I didn't quite go Illmatic, but I definitely believe the hype for sure.
Yeah, I wouldn't believe the hype. Borderline Illmatic. Whatever. I don't know my history on this band, but they definitely seem influential to a lot of people. Probably in Chicago for sure, and then outside of Chicago. But the records rip. I listened to a couple different ones, not just this one, just to listen to them, and was stoked on all of them. So I'm definitely giving it Believe the Hype. Definitely think everyone should check it out. And yeah, definitely I think it could turn into an Illmatic if I listen more and whatever, got a little more into the history of it. So
this episode's other sponsor is Death Rays Clothing. Have you ever wanted laser beams to literally shoot out of your eyes? Then slap on a Death Ray shirt, hat, or sunglasses and see what happens next. Born in Oxnard, made in Oxnard. Pick up some rad gear from deathraysclothing.com.
That's that. The next record we picked, did you pick this or me, Ryan?
I think you did.
Okay, and it's Mil-Spec, World House, right? Gosh dang it.
Yep.
Yes. So I don't know if you guys got did you get the book when you got it? for the LP. This book
No.
came out on Locking Out last year. I ordered that book just because it seemed cool, and that book was really rad. Explanations of all the songs, like real in-depth stuff. There's like some funny ads, like a comic, tons of cool stuff. So props to Locking Out for going above and beyond and doing a really cool record. Packaging. So that was real cool. Yeah, so that was the record. It is is Mil-Spec World House. Shawn, you said you listened to this one, right?
Oh, absolutely. I own this record. I don't have the book, but
you borrow mine.
Sold out.
I have the record, and I got this when it came out. Mil-Spec's a band that I heard the demo. God, when it come out like 2017 or something. I heard the demo and I was like, oh man, this band's pretty rad. And then they did Changes, and I have that. And then I picked up World House, and it's the band I dig. You could definitely see the progression of the music, and that's kind of cool. It's not like they just like, this is the style, and then they just repeat it over and over, wash, rinse, repeat. You see the progression of their music, and I really dig that. I like this band a lot. I borderline kind of like Changes a little bit better, but World House has like that progression that kind of pulls me along. So I dig this record a lot. I think it's pretty good. I think people should check it out.
Absolutely. The Changes 7-inch was really good. That definitely is what put them on my radar. And I listened to that 7-inch quite a bit, actually. I really liked it. But there's something about this LP that it feels like a Rev band, like just the sound and everything. I get like Youth Crew vibes, but it's like catchier. It also kind of reminds me of that band Fury.
I get that.
The LP that they put out. This is a little more hardcore leaning than that LP Fury did, but there's just some stuff that's a little different, a little, off the beaten path or so for your Youth Crew bands and stuff like that. And I definitely dig all the artwork that they're doing, and they really are kind of going their own way with that stuff, and that's definitely really cool. But the LP is fun. I like this LP.
Yeah, I think that band's cool. Ryan's the one. You're the one that showed me this band a couple years back. That Changes 7-inch. Band's cool. I don't know much about it. I'm from Canada. I don't know if this record kind of almost seems like they're gonna break up the way they talk about it in this book, but which I hope they don't, because even those little tapes they put out, like that the one song Springtime. It was on there, like they did like a BBC recording or a live recording. They did that song Springtime. It was like one of my favorite hardcore songs the last like 10 years. And it's not even on the LP, so hopefully they'll do something else and put that on it so I could have it. So I only have it on Spotify. But like you were saying, Shawn, definitely a cool band that like has shown a lot of progression and like growth. And then the LP definitely takes me like on a journey. That one song is like starts off like Blue Oyster Cult to me every time I hear it. Was it End of History? It's like on the second side. It's got a little guitar lead into it, and it always makes me think of Blue Oyster Cult.
Know what? I love Blue Oyster Cult, man.
Yeah,
I really do.
It's not a diss, that's for sure. But the song rips, but the intro is like, oh, that's what it reminds me of. But
I laugh. My family and I a couple years ago, we did a road trip in California. We flew into San Francisco and road trip down to San Diego.
Nice.
And when we stopped in Santa Cruz, I'd never been there before, but I was like, this is the greatest place. The weather is great. I realized I don't hate the beach. I just hate hot sand. And I found like vegan corn dogs, and they had a haunted house in July. And I was like, oh my God, this place is rad. And we're like 2 miles away from strawberry patches. And I was like, this place can't get any better. And then I look over and they're setting up an outdoor stage for Blue Oyster Cult to play. And I was like, well, there we go. Like, this place is even better.
Yeah, that was a perfect storm.
The ultimate Santa Cruz experience.
Right?
Have either of you guys seen Mil-Spec?
No,
Yeah.
I haven't had a chance to see them.
I saw some videos, and they put on a good show. And I know like they're kind of like, it seems like they're definitely like old school hardcore dudes. I know on one of their releases they do like a Moondog cover, which is like kind of random, and so they definitely like got the, whatever you want to call it, the clout, whatever, like the dudes have been around a while, it seems like. So but definitely a cool record. Anything else you got to add, Ryan?
Nah, I like I said, it's cool. It's fun. I honestly, I've got this at a Believe the Hype for sure.
Shawn, what do you got it at?
Believe the Hype.
Yeah,
Definitely Believe the Hype.
that's what I got it at. I got to Believe the Hype. Just like with Naked Raygun, though, I think that with time it could definitely go higher. Just not that Naked Raygun's going to outdo. They probably could any of the records they've done, but Mil-Spec definitely might be able to take it to the next level. I'd really like to see them live before they break up, if they are going to, which I don't know if they are or not. So don't email me saying they're not or whatever. Like, I don't know. Like,
Gonna get angry messages from them.
yeah, I hope not. I hope they put out 3 more records with springtime on all of them. But so I definitely rated it. Believe the Hype, rad band. The book has like all their merch for like the last, maybe forever. I don't even know. Like, it has a whole like almost like a catalog section with all their merch, and like it's pretty cool. They do some cool merch. Yeah. So, but so that's that on that record. Just kind of rambling here.
I'm just thinking like some of those bands that just put out tons of merch, if they put a book together like Cold World.
Oh,
like that band, like I remember when I still lived in Philadelphia, like anytime they'd come to town, if they played last week and they came again this week, they had different merch, like a completely different thing of merch, and kids just lined up and bought everything. Kids were flipping it on eBay, and it was wild. And I was like, man, that would be like the old Sears wish book looking thing for the merchandise.
Yeah. So Ryan, a crazy tie-in is that the tour you did with us in the East Coast Shawn was at the Striking Distance show, and at Robbie Redcheek's
in the basement.
We got blood on everybody.
Oh. Yeah.
We all got the same Dave Bird disease from getting his blood in our mouth.
No, that's what kept us safe during the pandemic, actually.
That's the cure.
I think it was.
Robbie's basement was crazy. It's like anytime I'd go home from that, I always like all my clothes smelled like fuel oil because they had the fuel oil furnace in the basement.
Dude, I remember being at the top of the stairs, like where they did merch and stuff, and leaving the merch table and walking to go downstairs. And we were there in like March, so it was still pretty chilly. And I just remember the heat coming up out of that basement just hit you. That was a pretty gnarly show. That was a good time.
Yeah, Robbie put on a bunch of good shows in his basement. It's just wild. This is like, in that little ass basement.
That's they called it Funorama. Is that what they called it?
Funorama.
Yeah, that sounds right. Is Robbie doesn't do a label anymore, does he?
No.
That was Dead by 23, I think.
Dead by 23.
Yeah, that was cool, man. They put out that Frostbite. They put out some cool records.
Yeah, I've got like 4 versions of that Frostbite record.
Nice.
I love the Final Plan. The Final Plan. That was the good one.
Yeah, I just actually got another version of the Frostbite one where it's like a Sex Pistols ripoff, where it's like a Nevermind horror show. This is Frostbite.
Nice.
So I picked that. I'm like, oh man, I don't have that version. So I picked that up. I don't know, maybe in February, January. So recently.
Yeah, I used to have a record release one with like a spray painted polar bear on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. That one got stolen though, but I used to have it. One of the many. Well, all right, man. Anything else to add? Anything you want to hype up? Check out Shawn's podcast, Nothing Better to Do. Shawn Rich Miles, definitely rad dudes, rad show. Another City Records. pick up the Ill Communication record. It's, even if you don't like the music, the packaging and the screen print or the laser print is dope, man. Like Shawn did a great job.
It's so cool.
We can't say thank you enough, Shawn. We're so stoked on that. The cover, everything about it is cool, man. We're psyched, dude. You did such hard work. We thank you.
Yeah, everything came together. You know, everything was great. It was rad working with you guys, and product came out great. And you know, everybody should check it out. And what's crazy is that the laser printed version is just so awesome, and the bluish green color has been the bestseller one. It's crazy.
Really? Nice.
I mean, it's a rad color, but I was like, okay,
that's good. I'm glad. Yeah, I hope they all sell. I
mean, they all are. But that one, I was like, I don't know. That if I had to rank them, I mean, I like them all, but I think that would be my least favorite. The bronze color is kind of cool. The white one's just awesome. I was like, but it's you never know what other people are gonna like.
Yeah, that's cool. I'm glad that people are, like I said, you did good work, man. We're stoked.
Thanks,
dude. Yeah, and thank you for coming on today, dude. It was a pleasure.
Thanks for having me. I listened to the show, so it's cool to be on. It's nice to meet you. I feel like I know you from listening to all the shows.
Well, thanks, man. Thank you.
That's what this is about, man. Making friends and reconnecting. So we appreciate you coming on. So you're definitely a new friend that we.
Oh snap! I think Andy froze.
Andy froze this time. All right, party foul, Andy.
Are you back? Are you good now? You froze big time.
Yeah, you turned into a Max Headroom. You're like,
I was having a seizure, dude. It's all good.
Well,
all right, Shawn. I know it's late there, man. Thanks again for coming on, and we'll be in touch, man. And hopefully, we'll be able to hang out in California soon and be stage diving and rocking and rolling, man.
Thanks. Excited to finally make it out there and see you guys play eventually.
Yeah, we're gonna do it. We're gonna make it happen. Ryan's gonna be there. It's gonna be the reunion.
Absolutely. That sounds awesome.
All right. Well, thanks again, Shawn. Please, man.
All right. Have a good night.
Later, Shawn.